You've tuned into Toby Talks, Episode 5, From Bedside RN to CEO of Black Girl Blue Scrub. So as a millennial, the most challenging thing about my nursing career is going against tradition. I mean, we're told that traditionally, we have to be at the bedside for a certain amount of years and have a certain amount of experience before we're even considered for a leadership role. Traditionally, we're also told that we have to be at the bedside for a certain amount of years and have a certain amount of experience before going back to school and furthering your education in your nursing field. But why? Why do I need to follow tradition if I know what I want to do? Why can't anyone help groom me and prepare me for what I already know I'm capable of? I mean, let's be honest, traditionally, are we walking around in all white scrubs with white shoes and a white hat with a cute little plus sign on it saving lives? No, we are not. And if you are, I know dang well you got a whole bunch of bleach in your house to keep them white scrubs white. For the rest of us who are not wearing white scrubs, we don't want to follow tradition. We want to do what we know we are called to do. My next guest, Kalea Owens, founder of Black Girl Blue Scrubs, is going to share with us on how she went against tradition, followed her heart, and is helping shape the leaders of our nursing field. And by the time we're done, you'll know why she is one of Dallas' top millennials to watch this year. Let's go ahead and hop in this conversation. So let's jump in this. So I really want to know, how did you even get into nursing? Like, for real?
Oh my gosh. So I feel like I was one of those people who went through like every medical profession before I landed on nursing.
Hello.
I was pre-med and I shadowed a OBGYN. She was super bomb, but she just told me all of this like behind the scenes stuff about like insurance and malpractice and all the years of school. And I was like, I don't know. And then I shadowed my nurse practitioner. She was like the bomb. She had been taking care of me. She was a women's health nurse practitioner. And she just seemed very different from the doctor. Like she was like, I'm in a jazz band and, you know, I love my job and I love my kids.
So she had a life.
She had a whole life. She had been like super flexible with her career, like from nursing to the NP. Then afterwards, she wanted to like travel the world. And I was like, yes, this is more like what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty much how I decided. But as far as like healthcare and medicine, I've always just been a science girl and I've always been a people person. I love people. I'm super empathetic. Like I'm like, let's fix it. Let me take care of you. Like that was my natural character. So it was just perfect for me to go into healthcare.
Oh, well, then that's good then. So when you went into healthcare and you decided to do nursing, did you do the ADN route, the BSN route? Like, what was your route into becoming an RN? So
I initially went into the BSN. And so when I went into the BSN, it was good because I went to the University of Toledo, which is in Toledo, Ohio, and they had two programs. They had an ADN program and then they had a BSN program, but they were phasing out the ADN program. And we had our counselors who were like, hey, you know, at the end of the day, they're going to make everybody go back for a BSN. So you need to just go straight to BSN, which was fine because that was the 4-year degree. And that was what my plan was, to have a college experience for 4 years. So it was perfectly in line with what I wanted to do.
Well, that's good. They said, go ahead and go straight and get your BS. So when you were in the program, what were your challenges? Because, girl, it wasn't easy. Besides the studying, the exams, what were real challenges that you felt like, man, if I would have known about this, I would have kind of, you know, thought, fine. You know what I mean?
It was quite an experience. I mean, I think everybody's nursing journey is different. And I think that's what's so beautiful about nursing and about nurses is that each experience is kind of tailored to you and to your lifestyle. For me, we were pre-nursing students, and we stuck together pretty hard. And the first thing I noticed is, the first 2 years you're going through your pre-nursing courses, and people were just dropping like flies. And that was just like my first panic sign, like, hey, what's going on? People were not even finishing their prerequisites. They were changing other healthcare majors. And then I had took a chemistry class, and I don't think anybody knows this. So it's something that's like super, super personal that I'm going to share with you.
Oh, spill it.
But I had failed this chemistry class, right? Mm-hmm. But it wasn't the normal fail. I had walked into this chemistry class, and I think after a week, I just did not understand anything, and I stopped going to the class.
Oh.
But look, this was the kicker. So I stopped going to the class, and I was acting like I had never stopped going to this class. So when it was time to check in with my counselor, she was like, so you failed chemistry? And I was just like, about that. So I was kind of in denial about, because I was realizing why people were dropping like flies. Like it was getting harder and harder and harder. So long story short, I had a trip planned over the summer to Africa. I was really excited about it. And she was like, listen, if you want to get into this nursing program, you need to retake this science class. I retook the chemistry class, and it was a chemist, like a full-blown chemist that taught it. And I didn't understand any of it, and I had to teach it to myself. And it was just like, if you don't pass this class, you're not going to get in. And so I would go to class. He would talk all of his chemist talk. He could not break it down for us. And it was 2 people at the end of the class, and it was 15 people that started. 2.
Oh my God.
I got an A from teaching myself that class.
Oh my God.
Yes. I taught myself. Like I had to, like I would hear him, but nothing was resonating because he was so above our heads. So I would go home, and that whole summer, it was nothing but like me and this chemistry book. Like, I'm like, I am going to get this. That was rough. Like that was the start of the real nursing struggle.
I can believe you, because I was in that same boat. Girl, when I said I walked out of this class with a B, and I don't even recall, I probably know what an ion and an atom was, and that was probably about it. I don't know what else outside of that. I don't know what we compounded, what we put it together. Girl, I was just grateful to God that I actually passed that exam. I mean, that class. And yeah, you're right. You will see people dropping like flies on the prereqs. And a lot of them are the sciences, like that chemistry.
It really opened my eyes. And I will say the whole experience was eye-opening, but this was the beginning of the fact that I wasn't prepared. And this was something that prior to this class and this experience, I was like top of my class. I had all honors classes. I went to a private school, but it was definitely like I could hold my own. So it never crossed my mind that I was starting college unprepared by any means. And then this chemistry class, it just kind of slapped me in the face. Like,
girl, woke you up. It said, wake up.
Like, it humbled me. It was definitely humbling, because up until nursing school, things like education, academics were very easy for me. Like, I could hear something and understand it. I could study for a little bit. I was pretty disciplined. But this was the first time that it was like, Kalia, girl, you in over your head. What you about to do?
Yes. And you know what's so funny? The fact that you said that, even academically, when I was doing so well in my sciences, I don't think we were mentally prepared for the way nursing wanted us to understand and learn.
Oh, absolutely.
Girl,
absolutely.
My first semester.
Yep. Yes, I'm glad we're here.
We here.
Weed you out. So beware.
Very quickly. So yeah, that first semester is crazy, because the test and based on how I studied did not go hand in hand. I don't know what that was about, but it was a struggle for me.
Yeah, no, I just talked to one of my friends who's starting nursing school, and she actually told me that they have a introduction to critical thinking course that they have added to the curriculum, because so many people couldn't make the transition from, just like regular courses to the nursing courses. So I think that'll help. But man, it was just kind of like, which answer is correct? The answer is A. The answer could be A. The answer is A and A.
But was A the best answer? That one was the best answer though. So I'm glad that you were able to make it through that process, because obviously you're a nurse now and it was challenging. So when you graduated, did you go straight to the bedside? Did you end up doing an internship, or how did you actually transition from being a new grad into becoming a nurse?
So nursing school was a struggle because I had kind of like the dynamics of being in a new environment, especially being African American. I was the only African American girl in my program. And so that kind of like set the tone for a lot of stuff, especially some of those preconceived notions about African Americans and being in a new realm. So I had to kind of go through a couple of things within the program. But once I graduated, this is so interesting. I took 6 months off. Oh. And I was not playing. Nursing was so stressful for me. Like, my experience was so stressful that I took 6 months off. Like,
that's good.
So
good.
I went. So it's weird. Like, I took it off from nursing, but then I went right back into grad school. So I graduated like August 4th and started grad school like August 28th. But while I was in grad school, so I was like, I'm gonna get my MBA in healthcare administration, but I hadn't took the NCLEX yet because it was just too stressful. Like, everything, I don't know, it was all too stressful. So I waited 6 months to take the NCLEX, but I did go right back to grad school for my MBA. So it was kind of like a trade-off. Like, let me switch gears really quickly.
So then what moved you to go straight into grad school and not actually go to the bedside?
That is an interesting question. So I knew that I had leadership goals. I knew the bedside would be there, but I knew that grad school would require me to kind of get my footing in first. And I knew that first year as a nurse also required you to kind of get your footing. So it was kind of like, let me get my groove with grad school first. So the first 6 months of grad school was kind of like getting adjusted to the grad requirements. And then I went back to take my NCLEX and got my first job. And I was well into grad school and I can manage them both a little bit better.
Wow. Like, I'm not going to lie. I think you're probably one of the first people I've ever heard who actually did that transition of doing grad school, then going into the bedside. And you know what's funny? I kind of want to bring back that topic that you ever so graciously slid over when you said you went through struggles. Being a minority. Girl, I caught you. That was graceful. Okay. So let me bring that back. When you said you were dealing with difficulties as a minority in the program, and I want to bring that back because that was one of the challenges that I faced several times in the program. But even when I graduated and I wanted to go back to grad, and I actually wanted to do the same route you did. I have tons of leadership and I've been over tons of organization, and I just wanted to already go straight into MS. And my professors that I pay my tuition to,
that you pay their salary to
that I
encourage you.
They told me that, just be grateful that you're finally getting through this program, but you're not ready to go into grad school or to be a leader. You need to go to the bedside for a couple of years first.
So to piggyback off of that, there are, and this is something that I think we're alluding to, but we haven't said it yet, but there are a lot of traditions in nursing that are old and outdated, for lack of a better word. And I say traditions in the sense of how things were is how they should always be. It is a very rigid profession. It's a very rigid industry, and it's changing over the course of time. But I've experienced the same thing. So not only was I the only African American student in my class, I was singled out every second of the day. I mean, I had staff members popping in my class to make sure that I was there. I had somebody pull me out of class, took me to her office and looked me in the eye and was like, you don't deserve to be in this program. I'm going to make sure you get out. Yes. Wow. And I was like shaking in my boots. I'm just scatterbrained, like trying to get through the program. Just like you, I held leadership positions. I was like president of Delta Sigma Theta, sorority incorporated. I was like,
go ahead, throw your incorporated in there, girl. Go ahead. You know, it ain't over until you throw that incorporated in there.
No, but I was just in so many other organizations, and I was bouncing between two campuses. So I was on the health science campus for the majority of my 5-hour nursing classes and 12-hour clinicals. But then I was over in the regular campus trying to do just some of the regular social activities.
Yes.
So my support system actually did not come from any of my classmates. And that was probably the most disappointing aspect of my nursing school experience, is that my peers didn't support me. So if I wanted support, I had to go back to my core group who, you know, their majors weren't the same as mine. So they didn't quite understand what I was going through. But they did do their best to like make sure that they knew like, hey, we believe in you. You got this. I also had to pull on some of the minority staff that was on the main campus that, you know, I had to tell them what was going on over at the health science campus and what I was experiencing. And so kind of like they formed a really tight bond and a tight net around me to make sure that I got through the program.
That is so good. And I liked how you said that you didn't really create a bond with a lot of your colleagues in the nursing program. And I think that's one thing that hinders us. It's like we're already competing to get in, and now we're in and we're still competing. And it's like, yo, why can't we work together? Why can't we be each other's cheerleaders? It almost feels as if
you're still competing.
You're still competing.
And you wonder what the competition is. And I know for me, you know, I wondered what the competition was because I went to a very diverse school and I grew up very diverse. So this was my first experience where I was so isolated. And I say isolated because I would take myself over to the peer groups and hey, you know, this is what I got. What did y'all get? Or, you know, kind of make that conversation. And I wasn't welcomed in.
Girl,
and
yes.
it got so bad that I actually suffered from depression while I was in nursing school. And I just stopped going to class. So I would go to the mandatory amount of classes that I had to go to, which wasn't a lot. But I pretty much would show up to pass the test. And I don't think that helped over time, because then it was like, well, who is this girl? Like I formed absolutely no bond with my peers because I was depressed for the majority of nursing school.
Wow, that's crazy. And girl, I'm not going to lie, being able to talk about this is not easy. Being able to share it with people you don't even know, never going to see, never are going to even know if they heard this is definitely not easy. So I appreciate you even sharing that. And those are the real truths, though, because when you already are dealing with the fact that you're feeling like everyone is competing against you, you have no one to turn to, no one really understands what you're going through, and the people that should, they're kind of against you or not letting you in their in crowd. It makes it very, very challenging. And
absolutely. They have like evidence-based articles and research around surviving and getting through nursing school, and how that peer group and that support group is literally core to getting through nursing.
Beyond core. Like I thank God that I had the second opportunity when I did get back into a nursing program after failing one of my previous universities. But when I came in, the core group of girls that I had with me, I kid you not, even though all of our destinies were different, all of our paths were different, not everyone finished with me in nursing school, but the fact that I had them, I would not have made it. Like, it wasn't even just about what we were going through in nursing school. We were also dealing with life. I was dealing with, you know, my parents going through health issues. I was dealing with being broke in college, and not just the regular broke, like you holding 5 jobs and still trying to be a leader of organizations and keep your wig on straight broke. So
how about this? Add this extra factor. And after that 5 jobs and the money that you're getting, you're sending money back home to you.
Yes.
That's how broke I was. Like, hey, mom, the money for the lights.
Yes. Girl, we are on the same page.
I think that's something that when I talk to the faculty about what I was going through, and that's another thing, because I would go on my main campus with my core group, and one of the faculty members would say, hey, why don't you just talk to them about what you're going through? So I even tried that route, and I sat down with the lady who was, kind of singling me out. And I told her what my situation was. And I sat down and I was like, hey, this is what's going on. This is why I'm not around all the time. This is how I'm feeling. This is me working. And, she just kind of looked me in the eye and said, listen, if this is something that you can't handle, it would be best if you you removed yourself from the program and let someone else. Oh, absolutely. And let someone else who can take on this challenge take your place. And I was like, oh.
Wow. They were already rooting for you to fail in the beginning. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So, yes, I commend you on your strength, because I feel it to the soul, what it takes to get through these programs.
And it's real. And I want people who are hearing us discuss this to know that be transparent, because you're not the only one in your nursing class that is probably going through that, or going through a struggle, or feeling, like they're alone or isolated. Actually step out and actually try to create those bonds and friendships, because honestly, all the things that I went through, I had that core group of friends where I could vent these things to, because it's hard. Girl, I know it was hard for you to sit there and, have to deal with family health issues, send back money, work jobs, be in organizations, and then deal with the nursing school. So not having that core group, if I didn't have that core group, girl, I would have been in straight depression as well, because that's hard. You're dealing with life and you're trying to pick a career that you're also going to be sharing and loving and taking care of other lives. So it's hard to go through that.
Yeah, no, it is. And I'll say this is something that I definitely want to make sure I mention. I got out of it because I had a mentor. And that is something else that I think needs to be just pushed in nursing, is mentors. Mentors who want to be mentors who enjoy it, who know how to pour into someone else. Because I think just from word of mouth, she had found out, she was a nurse practitioner, and she had found out that I was in nursing school, and she actually wrote me a letter, and she told me that she was interested in being my mentor. She was interested in investing in my nursing career, and that, I was kind of voluntold, you need to call me. And I didn't know anything about the purpose of a mentor. I was kind of like, how is this lady going to help me if she's not going to give me some money? I don't need another.
Hello? You mentor in my pockets?
Mentor in my pockets, yes, please. But you know what? It was a beautiful, beautiful relationship. And to this day, she's still my mentor, like a solid mentor. And she made it clear that she was going to be a lifetime mentor for me. And so I think that's something. She kind of picked me up by the bootstraps. She was like, hey, this is what we need to do. This is how you're going to do it.
I like that. And I'm glad that you even brought that topic up, because when we were talking earlier, you were saying how the industry from tradition and rigidness is changing. And that's exactly what I want us to highlight. It is changing. I mean, you have millennials that are on fire and wanting to do more than just a traditional this, that, and that. And like you said, having a mentor literally changes your view on how to handle things. I mean, that's exactly what I feel like our listeners need to hear, is that you need a mentor. It's not
absolutely. It's not a choice.
It's not.
You need a mentor every single step of the way. And I think you need more than one mentor, because, I mean, truth be told, after I found out how valuable she was, you need more. You need people who are going to feed you in different ways. And she gave me all she had. And people often think that mentorship is just tell me what to do. And I think that's why and I won't say our generation, but I do think I do think that our generation does not understand the importance of mentorship and how to go about it. But I do think that we think it's like, just tell me what I need to know so that I can be successful. And it's actually an exchange. It's like, hey, I'm going to pour into you. You're going to pour into me. We're going to figure this out together. It's a network.
It is a network. And the funny thing is, like you said, it's not about tell me what to do. And another thing, it's not about age. People always assume, a mentor, she got to be in her 50s, 60s. She's been by the bedside for 45 years. She's won honorary this, honorary. No, a mentor is literally someone who's gone through that experience is in mentoring you how to get through it as well. So you could be a new grad and you are mentoring nursing students who are just coming in. You just went through what it is to be in nursing school.
as long as you have the perspective, that's what I say. Have the perspective to help someone else. And it's not about you. It's not about you being seen as a leader. It's
exactly.
not about it's literally about understanding what you went through, being so empathetic that you want to make sure it doesn't happen again. You want to make sure that you give somebody what you thought you should have had going through your process.
Exactly. I just, I'm so glad you highlighted that, girl. Like, oh, that's so good. So what were you seeing in the nursing industry that kind of changed your views on nursing? Because I kind of want to pick up to how you not only just a nurse, but you're a boss lady. And I definitely want to highlight how you became a boss. But what was it in the nursing industry that you saw that changed your views on how to approach it?
So going back to that mentor, I remember going through these experiences, what we previously mentioned, going through the program, finishing it out, then going to grad school. And I remember every time I would get discouraged, she would tell me, like, just let this be part of your story. Like, don't get discouraged. Let this be part of your story. This is all a part of the story. And I used to think she was just kind of like, man, she always giving me these little philosophical answers, but I held on to it. And so when I graduated, I noticed my eyes were just open. And I think when you're hungry, and I say this is when you know you have a passion for something, and a very natural passion for something. I was so hungry with nursing. I was like, I was like a sponge. I was picking up everything people said, and I was challenging it. So for example, when I went right back to grad school, when I started my first nursing job, they would tear me down. They was like, why are you even back in school? You haven't been a nurse long enough. Wow. And it was just all of these things where I would challenge them and say, why do I have to be a nurse for 5 years before I go back to school? Like,
thank you.
If I know what I want to do, why can't I just go and do it? Hello? That's what I would do.
Because we are a go-getter generation. Thank you.
And so over time, I would say it developed over time. So I would say just allow your journey to be your journey. So from there, I was like, okay, well, it's rigid in its traditions. You have to go to school for this amount of time. You have to do things in this order. And then I started travel nursing shortly after. I had an experience at Cleveland Clinic doing open heart surgeries. Absolutely loved it. It really filled my cup from where I had been torn down from the beginning of the nursing experience. And I was like, I'm ready. And I went out here travel nursing, and I thought that it was just me going through these experiences and noticing these things. No, ma'am. I would be in completely different cities, and I would run into the same thing. There would be minority women asking me, how do you get leadership positions? How did you get through nursing school? There would be people who were literally like magnets to me, like, hey, can you help me? Or people sending, like my mom's friends or friends of the friends sending their children over to me like, hey, Kalia's a nurse, she can help you. And it just got to the point where I would hear stories that would have me in tears about girls who didn't get promoted because they were told that they were too Black and they didn't know how the unit would respond to them, or just things that it would break my heart so much that I had to pray to God and just say, like, why do I feel this? Like, why am I feeling like this? Because it kind of took me by storm. Like, okay, I'm over here thinking I'm just going to be a nurse practitioner or somebody's chief nursing officer, and here I am being pulled in a different direction. And it's like, what's going on? Why do I feel so compelled and angry about these issues? It's kind of like tap on your shoulder, like, hey, that's actually your calling.
Hello? You found your calling in the midst of the problem. So speaking about your calling, tell me, how did you stem this? How did we come with Black Girls Blue Scrubs? Because I am loving everything about that title, girl. Tell me, Bo. Tell me more.
You crack me up. So, like I said, common themes: Black girls, Black girls, Black girls, Black girls. And it's by no means, ever like singling anyone else out. But I think just being so compassionate to my experiences and being so compassionate to the experiences that my peers were having, my minority peers were having, and noticing the differences, it was like, okay, let's take this from now. Here's the critical thinking kicking in. Let's take this from an educational standpoint. I had the the opportunity to teach. And I loved it. I was like, okay, first it was travel nursing, then I wanted to do leadership. And this is all part of me exploring my journey. But while I was teaching, I felt like, man, this is where I'm having the most impact. This is where I can teach diversity.
That's good.
This is where I can promote them to work together. I was asking them like, hey, has anyone talked to so-and-so? She hasn't been to 2 classes yet. Like, I was doing those things that I wish would have been done while I was in the program. And that was like, man, this is where you're creating the change, by being able to teach the things that you believe. And so Black Girl Blue Scrubs was pretty much the umbrella for me to be able to teach and be able to have these classes and these courses and identify where are we having trouble at. You know, is it our professional development? It's okay. We don't learn it in the home because our homes aren't geared towards that all the time. We're not learning in college. How many of us are doing professional organizations versus social organizations? So we get into the workspace and we're looked over for the leadership positions. We're looked over because we have potential, but no one wants to invest in us. Yeah. Black Girl Blue Scrubs is investing in you. It's going, hey, you have potential. Let me cultivate it. Let's pinpoint exactly what you need.
Come on.
To where you want to be. Because I'm going to help you get there. Because I can't leave. No one else can be left behind. Like, this has to stop.
It's like a sisterhood in nursing. I love that. Oh my God. I love that. And I mean, that is what we need. We need more leaders like you and me pouring back into our community and especially into our field. So I am so glad that you're doing that.
Everything that we saw. So it's all about, if I saw people being unsupported, Black Girl Blue Scrubs is that support. It's guidance. It's everything that mentorship is, everything that you should have had during your experience. And so connecting with you, that really allowed me to see, and it validates it. It validates it across the board that this is so necessary. We need to be pouring into each other so that the next generations, the next groups of nursing, they understand, like, hey, you have the ability to be whatever you want. Like, before I started this business, no one even knew what a nursing entrepreneur was. It was kind of like,
is that a thing? Do they do that? Like, what you selling, scrubs? Like, that's it. Like, nurse entrepreneur just sell scrubs. You shouldn't sell anything else.
That's something that everybody, they limited us. They limited us to what we can do. Like, oh, well, you can either work under a doctor or work in the hospital or, nothing. And it's like, no, I'm going to pour into my profession because this is my life and I'm going to kind of trailblaze where we can go next, because we should not be boxed in. As nurses of any race, of any culture, we should not be boxed in.
Exactly. I am so in awe because exactly what you were saying, we are not the typical traditional rigid anymore. We can take what we love, our passion, our desire, or if we see a lack and a need in our field, and that can spun out a profession for us right there. Like, you are literally an entrepreneur and mentoring minority women to come into the field of leadership.
Even nurses pouring into their communities. That's something that we're overlooked. It's almost like only the doctors can care for the communities. But it's like, hey, I spend 12 hours with a patient. I know exactly what this person needs. And it doesn't have to be in the scope of a doctor. It can be in the scope of a nurse, and educating them and informing them. And we have so many things that we can do under our practice. We just need to have that confidence and that push to go for it. And the thing is, and the crazy thing is, I did this all while at the bedside. I've been in bedside for 7 years. So I never left the bedside to do it. And I think that is also what was told, like, well, you're going to have to choose. And I never had to choose. Now, running a business, being a supervisor at work, like, being able to do it, nursing is that flexible. You think about how much you push yourself, and you think about, okay, I work 3/12s or I work 40 hours a week. And you think about, we're in the age of innovation and creating your brand and your business. It's almost like nothing can stop you. What's stopping you from spending those 4 days running a business, or spending those 4 days? Like, I teach, I'm a supervisor, I have the business, and I still have time. I still have time for a life. So,
girl, nothing can stop you. You all the way up, huh? I'm just going to blast that in the background.
So dumb.
Sorry, girl. I burst into musicals anytime. So feel free
good.
to
I'm a
just...
good singer. So
But when you said nothing can stop you, all I could think was, girl, you all the way up. Come on.
I feel it. I feel it.
Amazing.
And it's powerful and it's empowering. And that's my goal, to share it with people so that they can feel that same thing. Like, don't let a class stop you. Don't let a faculty member stop you. Don't let lack of support stop you. Don't let not knowing what you want to do next stop you. Like, do it all. Do everything. Do whatever it is your heart tells you to do. Try that. Start there first.
See, now I can't even do an exit. That right there ended this whole conversation. Do exactly what Kalea said. The CEO and owner of Black Girls Blue Scrubs. Do it all. Have nothing stop you. Nothing get in your way. You can do it. And I am just so happy you were on this show to me today and you were able just to tell your story, girl. Your story is amazing. And I love what you're doing out there. And please go ahead and tell us how to find out more about Black Girls and Blue Scrubs.
All righty. So again, my name is Kalea Owens. You can follow me at Leadoll on Instagram, which is my personal page. And then you can follow blackgirlbluescrubs.org, or you can follow us at Black Girl Blue Scrubs. Our Twitter handle is BGBS Movement. I just leave you guys with, make sure you challenge the tradition, make sure you challenge the mindset. Things are evolving. Have those discussions, have those moments where you are really breaking out of your shell and understanding who you are, because the world is yours.
I hope you were truly inspired by today's conversation, and remember, keep up the good fight. You're doing an amazing job out there. Toby Talks is rooting for you. And we would love to hear from you. Send us an email at tobytalks@tobytodge.com. Again, that's tobytalks@tobytodge.com. Our next episode is going to have an amazing guest who is sharing the true details on what you should keep your eyes open for when you're looking into accepting a nursing school. All right, I'll be talking to you guys soon. I'm out.